What's good, party people? This is Voodoo in the Woods. I'm According to Woods, and he is former U of MMA champion Pius Lobo, better known as Voodoo Maximus. And last night was my birthday, but it was also UFC 274. And my, oh my, we had thrills, spills, controversy, all of it, decisions, like everywhere, everything that you wanted in a particular card. If you want a whole smorgasbord of mixed martial arts, you got it at UFC 274. Whether that's worth the pay-per-view or $90 or what have you, you're going to have to make that up. But I mean, for two of the three, top of the card was amazing.
Indeed. There were pockets of greatness in this particular card. On this card, pockets of greatness. From the prelims or the early prelims into the prelims, there were greatness in there. And then the main card looked pretty good as well. Until we ran into the co-main. I didn't understand what that was all about, but we will get to it and see how this goes. But for the main event, quite impressed. It is what it is, though.
Yes, it is what it is. So we'll get into it. The very first fight of the night. Oh, put this leash over there. Oh. Yeah. The first fight of the night is going to be Journey Newsom making his UFC debut against Fernie Garcia. And this was a unanimous decision. And, you know, I tuned in and out of this one. Obviously, these are two gentlemen who are making their name in the UFC. I wasn't expecting much, and especially if there wasn't a decisive finish, right? I wasn't expecting much, right? Because it's like, why would you fill yourself up with an appetizer, right? Yeah. Not, just fuck up your appetite for the main course, whatever your entree is. So I didn't want to do that. So that was my ideology. I mean, did you feel me on that one?
Yeah, I feel you on that one. But I jumped deep into the deep end of this pool, man. It had been a while since I saw a quality card, but this particular first match is quite interesting. Garcia was the better striker. Striking, Garcia was the man. In the beginning, it was Garcia, but then Journey, he kept believing. He never stopped believing. And he put together a complete mixed martial art package that earned him the unanimous decision victory. He went for the shot when he had the opportunity. He struck when he had the opportunity. He wrestled when he had the opportunity. He just kept switching back and forth from technique to technique. And this is what granted him the opportunity. He didn't stop believing. And he held on to that feeling.
Woo! I love the Journey references. My goodness, I can't believe that I didn't touch on it. That's the genius of Voodoo Maximus. Anybody who doesn't believe, I'm just saying, that's, you don't stop believing with the Voodoo Maximus, man. Like, he's a wealth of just knowledge and intellect, and about a bunch of the sexy too. I'm just saying, So I'm just saying that's what Voodoo Maximus brings to the table. So, there you go. Yes. Oh, Shaman Steve, Mario Yamasaki, for you. Happy belated birthday, Adam. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you, Shaman Steve. Glad to have you with us. This is an amazing time. It's an amazing season, and can't wait to see and do everything with everybody. So
that's right.
Yes. Now we get into Lupita Godinez versus Ariane Carnelozzi. Obviously, Lupita is the former LFA strawweight champion, and as we saw, in the co-main event, we see what the top of the echelon, the top of the pecking order in the UFC strawweight division looks like, essentially, right? And I'm not saying Lupita is or Ariane is at the tippy top of the iceberg, but the fact that they're not ranked and the quality of fight, or some would even say lack of quality, that we saw in the co-main event that just happened to be the championship fight of Lupita and Ariane's uh, respective division. I think they have as good a chance as any by knocking on the door and cementing themselves in greatness. Like, I would love to see a Lupita versus a Carla Esparza. Those
Mm-hmm.
are two big bad wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
Or strawweight wrestlers, but
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get more elite in terms of wrestling in that division than these two, right? I mean, it could be amazing, or it could be kind of what we saw in the Nami Yunus as far as a match. And again, we're going to get to that, but this is a good win for Lupi Godinez over a tough Ariane Carnolosi.
Yes, yes, indeed, indeed. Once again, taken from the script of Mr. Journey Newsom, Lupita went up in there and realized she's in there with a tank. And how do you beat a tank? You beat a tank by being elusive. If you stand in one spot, a tank will fire its guns and blow you away into smithereens. So, Lupita, being the diverse individual that she is, she initiated wrestling, took away all the powerful striking of Carnelosi. Excellent ground and pound, excellent transition. She kept beating Ariana to the punch. She stayed ahead, one step ahead. Excellent chess match. And at the end of the match, it was a unanimous decision victory. Lupita continues without damage. She continues on her quest towards ranking and the championship.
And I mean, she's been on the According to Woods podcast. Consider her a friend, and to me, the benchmark for Lupita was beating, the tough inaugural champion Vanessa Little Monster Demopoulos, Jiu-Jitsu brown belt, the author of the Stripper's Bible. There's so much that Vanessa does, and that's a friend as well. So the fact that Lupita figured her out, and again, that I will always, anytime Lupi fights, I will bring up that part of that LFA strawweight championship fight where she didn't
Mhm.
hear her coaches. Little Monster was on her shoulder. And Lupi was like, "What?" I was like, and she went closer with literally, Little Monster on her back, and all they said was slam. So she walked her over and then slammed her. And I was like, that was a very nice little footnote to MMA history. That was
Mhm.
stuff you saw in Pride with Rampage
Mhm.
Jackson, the early days of the UFC. The that KO of what's his face, Newton, Carlos Newton.
Mhm.
You remember?
Mhm.
Trying that
Yep.
submission.
Yep.
Yeah, and then
The
get
triangle.
slammed. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
He
That's
was triangling Matt Hughes.
Matt
And
Hughes.
then
That's
Matt,
it.
yeah, Matt, he was almost out too. He was falling out, and
Uh
then
huh.
his last ditch effort slammed him into the ground, slamming his head on the canvas. Newton is rocked out of his mind, and the referee calls it. But luckily for Matt Hughes, he as well was falling out, but the referee didn't see him. It would have been a disqualification, both double knockouts, but he kind of got away with that one. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean that was a draw, and it was a weird. I mean,
It
it was
would
a
have
weird
been a
one.
draw. It would have been a
Oh,
draw, but
so it's a double
Hughes held
knockout.
Hughes held on to the title.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and it was a title fight. And again, we're getting into like controversial title fights, title wins, and everything. So anybody that was just like, that's so new. I like my UFC when it didn't have it. Nope, that shit existed back then in the mid to late '90s as well. It happened in
Yeah,
Pride. So don't fucking MMA math me, folks. Yeah, I'm just saying.
yeah, yeah.
But as we go on, we have CJ Vergara against Cledston Rodriguez. This was a split decision going by the way of CJ Vergara.
Mhm,
But again, this is a flyweight champion. I mean, not a flyweight championship, but a flyweight contended match. I
yes.
didn't, again, it's one of those. It was an appetizer, and again,
Mhm,
nothing against it, but I almost, you know what? I inhabited a little bit of of you, Voodoo. And I think this is us doing the show together for as long as we have, and you say like until a fighter shows you something, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're just another face to
Yep.
be remembered or not be remembered,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they could find themselves, not to get too invested in them, because they could find themselves, outside of the UFC or outside of another organization fighting on the regionals. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, what did you think about CJ and Cledston?
Uh, in my opinion, I believe the UFC dropped the ball in this particular instance. I am a huge fan of Brandon Royval. Huge fan. I speak very highly of Brandon Royval, but his fight against whoever he fought, Matt Schnelly or Schnell, was not fight of the night. It was not fight of the night. I believe CJ Vergara versus Rodriguez would have been a better choice for fight of the night. These two young men went in there and they gave a beautiful show. It was an excellent performance. It was a back and forth that was, I wouldn't call it a brawl. It was a kind of fight that I enjoy. It was as technical can be, but yet with a sprinkle of brawl. Right? It's not overly brawlish, like food that has too much salt, but just enough salt with the nice amount of technicality in it. They both went at it. CJ pulled it out in a split decision, and then upon his finish, he got on the mic and he utilized the microphone the way you're supposed to. He did 100%. I give him 100% out of 100% in his performance, his overall performance. Yesterday was 100 out of 100. Very proud of this CJ Vergara character. We have our eyes on you, CJ. We have our eyes on you.
Well, since you went with Journey references, with your analogy of Journey Newsom, I'm gonna go by way of the Ramones and say, "Let's go, CJ." 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just saying, and Blitzkrieg Bop and Pet Cemetery. I don't want to be
Yeah,
living in a pet cemetery. Yeah,
no,
I'll get to that. I'm just get to that.
yeah.
Uh,
I don't
but
want to
uh,
be buried. I don't want to be buried in a pet cemetery.
yeah, I want to live my life again. That's
That's
yeah.
right.
There you
That's
go, bro.
right.
So as we're moving on, we got Tracy Cortez versus Melissa Gatto. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
this is this was a essentially a 9-1 versus a 8-0 prior
Yes.
to this, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
pretty evenly matched. Obviously, Tracy Cortez, former Tough Enough of Las Vegas, um, champion,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously, as we heard this week on Joe Rogan, what's his face, Khalil Roundtree. He started out his amateur career in Tough Enough. A lot of luminaries that essentially plenty of the waters in the UFC, Bellator, LFA, um, you know, Invicta have all come out of one championship. Have all come out of Tough Enough. They're the benchmark in terms of Nevada, both amateur and pro.
Mm-hmm.
So Tracy Cortez being a former champion of them. Obviously, in the personal life, I believe she's engaged to Brian T. City Ortega. I've been able to see those two interact at the last Lights Out Extreme Fighting show in Burbank, and they're just too cute as a button. Whatever, Obviously, you could say like they both have, Ortega is a heartthrob to the ladies, and a pinup esque person is Tracy to the male variety, or anybody that finds her attractive, right? That's what it is. But I mean, they both can fight. Ortega is a former title contender in the featherweight division, and Tracy Cortez getting this win again. She's a fighter. She's a fighter.
Yes. Yes. Hey, like we always say, man, a wrestler with a sprinkle of jujitsu will always beat a jujitsu artist with a sprinkle of wrestling. Yes, a wrestler with a sprinkle of jiu-jitsu will 9 times out of 10 times beat a jiu-jitsu artist with a sprinkle of wrestling. This is what we witnessed with Lupita and Ariana Carnelosi, and this is also what we witnessed with Tracy Cortez and Melissa Gatto. Gatto, very good jiu-jitsu artist, but the wrestling of Cortez nullified all her assaults. See, if I understand you're trying to do this and that to my arm, I will shift my weight around in such a way that you won't be able to do what you need to do. If I understand you're attacking my neck, I will shift my weight around in such a way that you won't be able to do what you do. Cortez did this all day long, little bitty ground and pounds here and there. There wasn't much damage done in this matchup, but it was a battle of transition. It was a battle of transition, and Tracy Cortez was able to remain ahead by just a little bit. Gato was able to take her back a few times, but because of that wrestling prowess, she was able to escape, find herself in a better situation, and ultimately win by unanimous decision. I was not really that impressed by this particular victory because Melissa Gatto, to be quite frank with you, I'm not very familiar with who she is. But I'm the kind of person that don't go against 8-0, which is why I chose her. But I'm still looking for that true test for Tracy Cortez. So far, she's passed with flying colors against people that we are not very knowledgeable of. But I still await that true test, an established fighter in the UFC. When she goes in there and she smashes an established fighter, someone we know their name, then I will start to pay attention like I should. But until then, Tracy Cortez is just Tracy Cortez right now.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. Again, in a night of decisions, right? A night that was like, let's say 70-30, right? Maybe even 75-25, right? There needed to be, even if you made a decision, right? Even if you earned a decision, whether it be split or unanimous, let's get some damage in there. Let's have one of those bang out fights that you just, oh my God, I can't believe this is going all 15 minutes, right? Like nobody really, to use a wrestling term, right? Nobody was like, oh man, like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels doing the Iron Man. This is too long. Nobody said that, right? Because it was entertaining. And unfortunately, there's no way to distinguish one decision after another after you had just 3 straight before you. It's just, it is what it is. So yeah, I want to see.
Let me further state one more thing. I do not hate Tracy Cortez.
No,
I just feel she hasn't been tested yet.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? And I do agree with her tactics. Don't get me wrong. I agree with her tactics. Right now, her contract, what? How much to fight and how much to win? Nothing. I bet you she ain't making 30 to fight and 30 to win. I guarantee you she's not. You know what I mean? So for her to go in there and fight the way she did and leave the octagon without any scratches on her face, I think that's intelligence. So she is displaying intelligence. She's displaying smarts. She got on the microphone and she handled business. I'm all for that. But the fact still remains, I haven't seen her in there against worthy competition.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So it's the that adage of, if you're a pretty person, you're hanging around with less pretty people to kind of up yourself, right? But this is the fight version of that, right? Like
Exactly.
You're just good enough, right, to kind of justify your spot on the roster, and then maybe leverage your social media following and your relationship. And I'm not saying it's just Tracy Cortez. It's T City himself too, right?
Yeah.
To leverage more money, more eyeballs, and more, maybe even like pay-per-view points.
Yep. String up the W's. When the contract is up, ask for more money because you are a winner. I'm not mad at it. Only go all out when there's something to be gained from it. Otherwise, do not waste yourself, like Bruce Lee would say. He said, don't waste yourself. So Tracy Cortez is being very wise and intelligent, right? Until it's time to not be wise and intelligent.
Well, I mean, Natalie Merchant said in her song, "You've been so kind and generous," right? Well, you know who wasn't generous? Oh, the Portuguese gentleman here. His name is Andre Fiallo, right? Fiallo was not kind nor generous to the chin of Cameron Van Camp because very first round, and this ends up being the very first finish of the night. But
Yes.
Andre Fiallo gets that wicked left hook, finds the chin of Cameron Van Camp, and night goes Van Camp. Van Camp went to sleeping camp. At the hands of Andre Fiallo.
Yes, indeed it did. Not too long ago, approximately 2 weeks ago, this man fought Andre. He fought, and he had a beautiful victory against Baeza, I believe it was. Beautiful victory. Now, some 2.5 weeks later, he's back, and once again, put somebody out. This man is here, and he's here to stay. Thursday, I paid the man, my respects. He has earned my respect, and I have given him due diligence. He is back, and once again, he has validated the respect that I've given him. He went in there against Mr. Cameron Van Camp, and he Von Trumped his ass. This is the kind of performance that we're looking for. And not only did he Von Trump Mr. Van Camp, he got on that mic and utilized the microphone like he was supposed to. Already, he's scheduled for another match in less than 24 hours from his left hook knockout win. He's already scheduled for the next bout. This is what makes a superstar in the UFC. Go in there, handle your business, get on the mic, handle your business, and watch the platform grow. This is what people are looking for. Look at Hamzat Chimaev. He went in there back to back to back to back to back. Now he's got millions of followers. The man's English is not the best, but yet they keep coming. Andre speaks better English. All he has to do is stick to the game plan, knock their asses out, jump on the mic and make your demands, plant the seeds, and watch the platform grow. The Trinity is inevitable.
Yeah, and speaking of inevitable, with a finish like this on a night full of and rampant with decisions, well, guess what? Fiallo got a $50,000 bonus. Now, one thing that I'm not sure of, and I might have missed it if they announced it on the telecast or the post fight scrum, but obviously, Crypto.com was the first. This is UFC 274 is the first event in the UFC where they're actually going to award a fan bonus. And Crypto.com is essentially going to give $30,000 in Bitcoin to the winner of whoever the fans decide. So I wouldn't be surprised if Fiallo or even Royval would have gotten an extra a little pay bump in crypto, but that's just me. But that could have also been Charles Oliveira as well.
I am not opposed to more money for these fighters, as what they do is quite dangerous, and the more money they get, I support.
Yes, absolutely. Now, speaking of support and monetary compensation, Biagoy Ivanov, that to say three times fast is amazing. Not, but Biagoy Ivanov of Bulgaria essentially best Marcos Rodrigo de Lima by unanimous decision. And again, these are big boys. Obviously, if you're not anticipating any decisions, right? The least that of a decision in a fight that you want to see is one in the heavyweight division. If you're 265 plus by the time they hit the octagon, both gentlemen were, you want to see a knockout. You want to see a 10-second knockout, a 5-second knockout. I mean, aside from what Frank Mir, Brock Lesnar at times, but Brock Lesnar would empty his tank. That's what essentially got him the win over Shane Carwin. Where actually Carwin is the one who who gassed out, but after beating the shit out of Brock Lesnar for the very first
Yes.
round. But even
Yes.
still, you when it, especially in heavyweights, right? The heavier weights, but specifically heavyweights in boxing, MMA, Muay Thai, or whatever, you want knockout. And unfortunately, if you're looking for that, both gentlemen disappointed in that. But in terms of the actual fight, what did you think of this heavyweight affair?
In terms of the actual fight, it was a very technical heavyweight fight. Um, De Lima was more defensive and seeking the counter strike, which I'm not mad. I'm not mad at him for. Ivanov was more offensive. Uh, it was a competitive match. These two gentlemen are indeed heavyweights, but they are spare tire heavyweights, meaning their midsection carries most of the weight. They are not big gentlemen. Uh, like an Ngannou is what, 6'4", 500 pounds, and these other guys that are not only massive but they're tall as well. Like look at a Tom Aspinall, look at a Curtis Blaze. These guys are over 6 feet and just they were meant to be big giant humans. These two fellas here are, how do you say, body fat heavyweights. They were body fat heavyweights. So I don't feel they pack the same power as your average giant size heavyweight will pack. But it was quite an entertaining match. They rocked each other a few times. Um, the decision went the way that I expected it to go. So I'm not mad at it. Unanimous decision victory, so be it. I was expecting Ivanov to take it to the ground, but it didn't happen because De Lima had very good takedown defense, and he realized if he is going to win, it had to be on the feet. So he kept it on his feet. But Blagoy Ivanov was the man for this night.
Yes, a big win. Big win for Ivanov. You know, and I was thinking about what you were saying about the spare tire deal, and maybe because I'm a
Heavyweight.
spare tire heavyweight myself, right?
Me too.
But it's weird because you had the Roy Nelsons, the Derek Lewises, and everything like that. I think obviously the first like heavyweight with abs that we saw was like Bob Sapp. I don't know. For me, that was it.
that
Like,
that guy was a super heavyweight
God
with
damn, yeah,
abs.
yeah,
A super heavyweight with abs because
Jesus
he was
Christ.
clear over 300 pounds and he had abs. Unreal. I was not watching. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast this afternoon while my kids were, doing their little hurdle training outside. Uh, it was Joe Rogan and who was that?
Was it Khalil Roundtree?
No, not him.
Brendan Schaub?
Brandon Schaub.
Yeah, yeah.
Brandon Schaub. They
That,
were speaking on the same topic
yeah.
of how this man was so massive, and he had a 6 pack. And it was unreal to see something like that back in Pride. Unreal. This man was supposed to fight Mike Tyson at one point. So happy that Mike Tyson didn't take that fight. Or whatever happened, and we never got to see Mike get in there with him because Mike would have been hurt. This guy had a decent amount of knowledge in regards to takedowns or whatnot. And Mike had none of that. So Mike dealing with such a huge human being would have been terrible, and he would have been hurt.
Yep. It's not terrible. It's terrible, in the words of Charles Barkley. Terrible, terrible, Bruno. Terrible. Oh, Shaq, 50 pound, Kobe Shaq. Yeah, put the rim look like a donut. Oh, yeah. TNT, that's the place to be. Yeah. Charles Barkley, penny thumbs. There we go. God, I didn't even know I had a Charles Barkley impression, but I got it. Fucking got it, bro. Now, two people that aren't Charles Barkley are the recipient of the another $50,000 bonus was Brandon Raw Dog Royval because he hits the first submission of the night over Matt Schnell very
Yeah,
first round, 2 minutes
yeah,
14 seconds,
yeah.
proving that Royval is not paid by the hour. I'm not picking against Royval. Even before he was in the UFC, he was on According to Woods. I think that when he was still in the LFA, I just like that dude. He's just, and we'll message and send each other memes and all that jazz. Shout out to our friend Alex Ramirez for hooking that up and the Super B podcast. But yeah, dude, like Brandon Royval, showing that guys, kind of filling in where Mighty Mouse left off, right? And there have been many, but some of the most exciting fights have come by way of both the men and female flyweight and bantamweight fights. And those, especially in the instance of the men's flyweight, was about to be eradicated because Dana didn't like Mighty Mouse. Didn't think he was, good enough to get pay per view points, and Mighty Mouse is just like I do what I do and I expect to be compensated or whatever, but I don't jaw jack like whatever, and this is even before, right at the beginning of the rise of Conor McGregor. So it wasn't needed. But you know, it warms my heart that a division that almost was eradicated from the UFC is one of the most exciting fucking divisions in all of MMA, not just in the UFC,
Hmm.
but the world over.
Hmm. Hmm. Hey, when God created man, He knew what He was doing. Some humans are blessed with athletic prowess, but yet
Oh, you might jump out and jump back in. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. So what I believe Voodoo was going to say, and I'm not taking the words out of Voodoo's mouth, but all men aren't created equal, right? You could be strong and maybe not the best of intellect. You could be intellectual but not be, a bronze Adonis, right? So I think that's what you're getting at, right? If you're blessed with superior intellect,
Intellect,
you
you
might
might
not be
not be
the,
the
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 strong
strong
person.
person.
I'm
I'm
echoing.
echoing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear
Can
me?
you hear me?
No.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
coming in
coming in
louder
louder
by
by
headphones.
headphones.
Hold on, hold on.
Hold on.
Try it. No.
No.
You're
You're
jump up. Yeah.
yeah.
There's no.
There's no
Next to you.
Next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So that is Royval versus his opponent of Matt Schnell. Now we're getting into another decision, but it was Macy Chiasson, the former Ultimate Fighter champion, and she best the Brazilian Norma Dumont. And this one was it again another decision. That's where we're at. We're at another decision. Can you believe we're at another decision on a pay per view card? Well, this isn't the pay per view part a portion of the card, but I mean, can you believe it? Like we got another decision.
Yes, yes, yes. Macy Chiasson and Norma Dumont um, was. I have to give it up to Macy Chiasson because in the third round she had nothing left. She had nothing left, so she initiated her wrestling. Stall, wait, burn the clock. I'm not mad at her for doing what she did. First two rounds, she moved really well, like a free flower. She threw hands and feet. Everything was on point. But Dumont was not going away. Dumont was throwing heavy shots right back. Even in the third round, Dumont got even stronger. So Macy, being a smart individual and having a very good corner on her side, was like, hey, I can't beat her with my hands and feet. So guess what? I'm about to put my big giant body upon her, put her on the fence, and lay and pray. This is a strategy that I was not mad at. Though it was boring, I understand. Fatigue beats all man. Fatigue. When fatigue sets in, you better figure something out. And Macy Chiasson figured something out. She was on her way to getting knocked the F out if Dumont could have gotten free. But unfortunately for Dumont, she's a jiu-jitsu artist. Her wrestling was just a tiny bit. So she didn't know how to get away from the fence. She didn't know what to do. And she stayed on that fence for some 3 to 4 minutes. And that's what caused her to lose the split decision. Dumont was close to winning, but close don't bring you no wins. Wins bring you wins. And that's why she lost. So Chiasson, get it together. Get it together because you seem to be the future of this division. You got to get your wrestling a little bit tighter, and especially your submission. Now, Hickson Gracie always says, secure the position before the submission. Macy had the submission, but she did not secure the position a few times, which is why she lost the submission that she secured. So go back in the gym, brush yourself up, and then come back. And hopefully you get a title shot within the next 3 matches.
Yeah, absolutely. And even as we're seeing, even just a title shot, right? You don't want to be just a title shot. You don't want to just be in the UFC, you know? You want to aspire to, one of the greatest of all time and be in that deal. So obviously you make your small goals, and achieve it. I want to beat this fight. I want to basically make my name in the cage. I want to earn more money, right? But then, like what's left for a champion if they say all I want to do is be a champion? Well, they lose it on their first defense, and guess what? Like Luke Rockwell. Luke Rockhold is a perfect example, right? Wins it, and then right after loses it to Bisbing. First title defense. So I'm just saying, it just you want to stake your claim, and obviously Donald Cowboy Cerrone figured it out, and unfortunately he was supposed to be on this card, but Lozon got bad food poisoning and everything. They're going to run it back. This is the second time this fight has been rescheduled. The first time, and Cerrone basically brought it up on the press row. And shout out to Eddie Law from the Keyboard Warriors, who was on Media Row all throughout the week, and he was like, "Yeah, like Cowboy was just like, yeah, like, I I want to be here. I want to have fun. I want to create a legacy more so than that, more so than what I already have, right? And if you're a fighter, that's what you want to go. Even if it's your first fight in amateur, your first fight in the regional circuit, your first fight in the UFC or what have you, you want to go for legacy because we're seeing that just being on the UFC roster doesn't. You could be on the UFC roster and not get that big check that says you're in the UFC video game. You could be on the roster and never be in contention of the UFC Hall of Fame. And look, we just saw DC get inducted, or the announcement of his induction was made, and you saw what it meant to him. It's a big deal. So such a big deal.
Yes, yes. Um, I mean, that is the ultimate recognition when not only your peers, but the company which you serve. It's like it's like Spartacus, blood on the sand or whatever. When these fighters have fought so many times in the arena, their bust is erected and placed upon the arena shelf or trophy wall or whatever, and they are given their freedom. In this particular case, uh, the man retired on his own accords, but his accomplishments were so great that not so long after his retirement, he was blessed with immortality. Uh, Ultimately, this is what every fighter fights for: to be remembered as one of the greatest. You hear them say, my legacy, this legacy that." You know, I I I really get turned off when they start talking about my legacy, my legacy. Shut the hell up about the legacy nonsense. Just focus on what's in front of you. Focus on what's in front of you and do your absolute best. If you do that, all that legacy shit will follow. I don't want to hear you in an interview talking about legacy. Even if the reporter asks you about this and that legacy, I'm not worried about legacy because if I do what I'm supposed to do, the legacy will be intact. Now, DC did what he was supposed to do. Two-time champion, double champ, won a few, two-time champion. And now, congratulations to DC. He has joined the ranks of BJ Penn, Chuck Liddell, uh, uh, uh,
Dan
Anderson
Severn,
Silva, Dan
Dan
Severn,
Severn,
right? Chuck
Sakuraba,
Liddell, Sakuraba, and the list goes on. Hoist Gracie, you
Ronda
know,
Rousey,
Ronda
Frank,
Rousey,
Frank Trigg, Frank Mir.
Frank Shamrock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
Shamrock,
Ken Shamrock. Ken
Ken
Shamrock.
is there.
Ken
Yeah,
Shamrock.
fucking
Yeah.
Frank should be there, 100%. Frank absolutely should be there, but him and Dana don't get along. It's almost similar to Randy Couture and Dana, but you can't diminish Randy Couture. Another one,
Yeah.
like Frank Shamrock should be there. Boz
Yeah.
Rutan. These are all time greats, like
But
all.
In regards to Shamrock, like you just mentioned, after all Shamrock has done for this company, Dana is gonna let his ego get in the way. Hey man, even Vince McMahon didn't stand in the way of the Ultimate Warrior when it was time to give him his accolades.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
He gave it to him, didn't he?
Well, 10 years.
But he gave it to him.
Randy Savage had to die. Like Dana and yeah, like and you know the allegation with Savage and Stephanie and everything
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So like, I mean, I whatever, but which that's why I like the Frank Gotch, the George Tragos gym in Waterloo, Iowa. I mean, Hall of Fame in Waterloo, Iowa. That honors catch wrestlers, jiu-jitsu artists, MMA fighters, and pro wrestler. To me, that and the one in upstate New York, those are the two Hall of Fames that it doesn't matter. Even Dave Meltzer's Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. You could say what you want about Dave Meltzer, and a lot has been said. I mean, Jim Cornette hates him. Oh no, Jim Cornette likes him. Bischoff hates him. Conan likes him.
Yeah.
But both Dana White and Vince hate Meltzer. But the Pro Wrestling, the Observer Hall of Fame, that's a Hall of Fame too. Those are either fan or peer or just accolade driven Hall of Fames.
Yeah.
Everything else is just a Hall of Fame for WWE. That's on Mania weekend, and it's another ticket. They can sell another 17,000 seats in the arena that they've been playing 4 nights. That isn't the stadium that they hold Mania. International Fight Week might as well be UFC's Mania week. And again, it's another trope for you to buy a ticket to International Fight Week, that little convention. It's the Hall of Fame. I actually think they could do better in terms, because all they do is the podium. I actually like the old UFC Hall of Fame induction deals where it looked like a big thing of glass and it had them etched in. Yeah. Now it's just like, it looks like one of those aggro rock things from Nickelodeon Guts from back in the day, like a golden version of that aggro crag. After you fucking kicked ass at the damn obstacle course, when this is what Michael O'Malley and Maura Cork would tell, Maura Cork, the referee, Michael O'Malley, before he became a comedian, was on fucking Guts. I'm just saying. That's what I'm saying. They could actually take from WWE in terms of how to conduct a Hall of Fame ceremony that is, like worthy of the fans' monetary value. That's what
man. Hey, from what it looks like to me, they don't give a damn. They only do it. They only do it because people will point a finger. To stop people's finger pointing, they're like, all right, we'll throw them a little shindig. But the way the WWE the day before WrestleMania, a huge spectacle. You know what I mean? A huge spectacle recognizing these great warriors, right? This is what should be, but just like the previous belts, they're like, we're not gonna spend $30,000 a belt anymore. We're just gonna get you a little tiny ruby. You're gonna put on the same exact belt. You know what I mean? Hey, they're cutting all costs. They even cut Chuck Liddell from his office job. They're like, we don't need you, sir. Sorry, cutbacks. It is what it is.
Yeah, man. Oh, that's you're right. You fucking dude. But I also, again, I'm a belt guy. Why? Who the fuck said? This is one thing that drives me insane about the fucking UFC, right? Like in boxing and in WWE, the fucking champions come out with their belt. Even if you didn't know anything. Let's say, let's use the Super Bowl analogy, right? You don't give a shit about the game. You either want to see the commercials or be, with your friends cutting up, or, like your significant other, their boss has a fucking Super Bowl party, right? You don't know what the fuck is going on, male, female, transgender, omnivore, whoever, right? You're just in a situation or whatever, but there's a tale that makes everything worth it, right? So in this instance, if you're in the UFC just as a thing to do in Phoenix, a thing to do, whatever it is, they're going to Singapore, right? You might not be the fan, but there's no concerts going on that fucking night. You might as well go to the UFC or whatever, right? Like, who's the champion? Like, from that, the non-hardcores that might be in the arena, that might be watching at a bar, that might be, those filthy casuals, right? Or not even casual. You miss an opportunity to bring somebody in because they're like outside of the fucking entrances. You associate a champion with their fucking belt. Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Riddick Bowe, Joe Frazier, Jack Johnson. You associate the belt. John Cena, Bret Hart, whatever. There's none of that. And then, how in the fuck are you a 14? Like, you're a 10-time champion? Not because you won the fucking title 10 times, just because you've defended it 10 times and you get a new belt every time. Who said that? Do you know how many fucking belts like Ric Flair would have? I'm just saying. And in that deal, right? If Ric Flair is a 16-time world champion, well, really, he's a fucking 870-time champion because he held it 887 days. Or Bruno Sammartino is a 3,257-day fucking champion because what? He defended it all those fucking times. So what the fuck are you doing, UFC? Stupid. Let your champions wear the belt. Don't give them a new belt. Just fucking let them. You got to just go to fucking, what is it? You just got to carry it in your luggage. Carry it in your fucking carry-on, and give, for not forgetting your belt, you get X amount of dollars, right? As a stipend, right? That's, like you get 5 Gs for bringing your own fucking belt, right? From home, right? And you're just, 2-time defended, 8-time defending champion. That's what I think. I could be fucking dumb, but to me, it makes sense in my head.
It makes sense to me too. I at least have some replicas, man.
Yes,
that production can carry around and hand
that's
to
what
you
I'm saying.
At the, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. These people will do what they do. If it makes sense or not, they will still do what they feel like doing, like they are right now.
Yeah.
So somebody came up with the bright idea of giving them a ruby. Hey, ruby, it is, man. It
That
is
stupid
what it
ass
is.
fucking. I forgot the jewelry maker of the UFC. They make the little fucking necklaces that the people on the Ultimate Fighter, they hook their fucking lavalier mic to. That's whoever Bixel. I think it's called Bixel. But fuck you, Bixel. Your shit.
This some bitch might be a fan of Thanos or something.
No, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, it looks like that or Power Rangers or just fucking barbecues. Get that thing. The fucking belt looks like a Dixie paper plate dipped in gold. Stupid. It's stupid. There's nothing wrong. The fucking old legacy UFC belt was amazing. Even the fucking super fight one with the guy with the old school logo, that was a beautiful fucking. Yes, that was a fucking beautiful belt. What the fuck is this bullshit? God damn it. I hate it. I wish that when you get the UFC video games right now, because UFC dropped and you got the new belt, I wish it was like the the WWE games where you could pick all of the championship looks, whatever, and you could use whatever championship you see fit. If I'm fucking paying to play the game, I should see the fucking belt that I want to whatever when I get to the tippy top of the fucking video game that I spent $90 for. I'm just saying.
Hey, remember when Ultimate Warrior came through and his belt was white instead of black? The background, the white remember leather. That?
He even had a blue one.
Yeah, he had a blue one too.
He had a white one and a blue one. And I think he only he did Regis and Kathy Lee with the blue one. No, he did Regis and Kathy Lee with the white one. Yes. And then that was if he went to Good Morning America or wherever the fuck or whatever, and then he wrestled with the blue one and had he wrestled with the yellow one, and then for the promo picks, right, when the 8x10s and shit like that was the blue one.
Mm-hmm. See,
that motherfucker had three belt designs.
It's the flexibility to they just want to control everything.
Yeah.
You cannot have an individual become a created star. They got to have a finger on everything that you're doing, which is why the uniforms look the way they look right now. There is no individuality. Uh, this is pretty much slavery, really slavery. We control everything you do. We control when you eat, when you sleep, where you sleep. It's pretty much it, man. It is what it is. Modern day slavery. But these people got to eat. Not only do they have to eat, they want to do what they love, and that's combat. And this is the best company in town, that's offering what they seek.
So one last thing before obviously we go in the card, and obviously if you've got a rebuttal, but PFL, right? Those fucking fight kits look dope. Combate Global, their fucking fight kits look dope. Like I would wear it. Like both promotions, right? The Combate, I'd buy that. Like if the Combate fucking sold it on their website, that shit looks clean. The fucking fight kits look clean, and they even have sponsors on it with the PFL. Again, their shorts look like half NFL fucking training gear, right? Or John Cena, the Ruthless Aggression, where he just came out, before the fucking Thugonomics, where he just came out. If he was in LA, he wore purple and gold. If he was in fucking, Chicago, he wore Bears colors, like that. That's what the PFL shit looks like. And they got fucking sponsors. It looks clean. So you can't tell me that the biggest fucking combat sports organization in town, just as you said, can't afford to make dope shit. The Reebok gear looks exactly like the fucking Venom gear.
Hey, we're cutting all costs, man. All that other fancy stuff that you're talking about, mister, costs money. And we're not going for it. We have a budget. We have a $5 budget.
How come the fucking smaller organizations can do it, but the UFC can't? PFL, you can't tell me that PFL has a bigger market cap. You can't tell me that.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They're paying their fighters $1 million. What are you talking about?
But their market cap. Walk down the street. Who knows PFL? I love PFL. Not everybody will. I'm just saying.
So, you're talking about that UFC, right? Ain't that UFC you're talking about?
Yeah, right.
That's what they say in the streets.
What is that? Is that PFL right here? I rest my case.
You do that UFC, right? Don't you do that UFC?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you do that UFC.
Oh, it sounds like my son-in-law. Jesus Christ! I train UFC. I looked at him. So, yeah, I fought. Where'd you fight? Underground?
What kind of fighting you do? UFC?
I just ground and pound. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna get heat. I said too much. But speaking of too much, too much is probably what Francisco Trinaldo's significant other says about him fighting. You fight too much. But she's probably, or he, or whoever his significant other is, or chooses to identify as, they probably have a good time when them checks come back, because Francisco Trinaldo has been doing this shit for damn near 20 years at the highest fucking level.
Yep.
And figuring out a way to win literally people that are half his age.
Hey, man, I remember this fella back in the Ultimate Fighter, man. He was one of them Flavella young men, I mean, he was already deep into his 20s by the time he got the opportunity to get into the Ultimate Fighter house, and he made the best of it. Some 10 plus years later, he's still here. Most of them fellas, them cats that he was with in the Ultimate Fighter house, most of them are gone. He's the only one still around, and not only is he around, he's still performing at a high level. The man's 43, 44 years old, and he's still doing his thing. He took it to this Danny hot chocolate, sexy chocolate, whatever chocolate that he called himself, Roberts, this Englishman. He took it to him. He took the fight to him. He rocked him a few times. They rocked each other. But Francisco Trinaldo, man, there's something to be said about a poor man with no food on his table. It's like a tiger that's backed into a corner. an injured tiger that's backed into a corner will lash out at anything that comes its way. And that's what we have here in Francisco Trinaldo. He's been like that for the past 10 plus years, and he's still like that. The man's on the hunt for gold, and he will not stop until he reaches his goal. He went in there with a unanimous decision victory. He did what he had to do. The man will come at you with everything he's got. You're going to have to kill him to defeat him. And Roberts didn't have what it took. Francisco Trinaldo, yet again, victorious.
Yeah, I want, you know what, to really put a nice little cherry on top. I don't think Francisco Trinaldo, for as long as he's been in the UFC, we're talking about Ultimate Fighter Brazil Season 1, right? So, I want Francisco Trinaldo in my fucking new UFC game. You know, like that's it.
Real.
You know, get him a nice little fucking contract. It licenses his likeness away. I'm just saying. So that's what I think. But
Straight up, man.
You know what? Michael McKee says, "Happy birthday, Mighty Maximus."
Hey, he was actually informing me to tell you.
Oh,
birthday.
Okay, I like that too.
Yeah. That
Thank
was a
you.
low key way of reminding me, Maximus, to remind you that happy birthday, Mr. 8 motherfucking day Woods. All day, every day Woods. Let's go.
Mari Yamasaki's Michael and YouTube video. And UFC needs, you know, is real. It needs more storylines, which you're not wrong. That's why they fucking don't tell me that they don't need fucking storylines, right? And most people are like, oh, I don't want it to be UFC. I mean WWE.
Hey.
I don't want it to be pro wrestling. But what is embedded about? What is the countdowns about?
Let me tell you something. I can answer that question. See, it is not up to the UFC to create these storylines because these are real life events. This isn't make believe, right? Though the wrestlers are some of the greatest performers on earth, better than Sir Duke Soleil. They're comparable to fighters, real fighters, but there's still that element in which the corporation decides who wins and who loses. The UFC is not like that. So therefore, the UFC cannot create storyline. This is what we've been talking about all this time. Fighters themselves are the legend creators. They have to create themselves. They have to get on that mic. This is why we talk about the Trinity, man. Fight skills, mic skills. Eventually, you will have platform. The mic skills up to the individual fighter. A lot of problem that we have here that you're noticing is these fighters say, I am a fighter, man. I don't talk a whole lot of woo, 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 woo. They say all this stuff. I'm not a talker. I let my fighting do the talking. Yeah, you let your fighting do the talking, but that's just half the battle. And G.I. Joe says knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
if you know what you're supposed to know, you will understand that you need to sell your skill. And to sell your skill, you need to speak. And if it so happens that if I'm going up against, say, for example, I'm going up against Ada Day Woods, I'm going to say this and I'm going to say that about Ada Day Woods. And when the fight's over, man, we're going to shake hands and we're going to count them. We're going to count that cash together. But these fighters are missing this. They're missing this. They're missing the point. They're not understanding that mixed martial arts have gone from figuring out which martial art is the best, as it was when the Gracie had it. Which martial art is the best martial art? All that is history. That's yesterday. And Poe from Kung Fu Panda, not Poe, the Master Turtle said, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That is why it is called the present. These fighters today don't understand that today is a gift and that their time is limited. While you're here, be like Conor McGregor. Speak however you want to speak. Just speak, man. Don't tell me I need to talk to my manager. Don't tell me, speak up. before you come to your fight, look at yourself in the mirror and practice a few lines. So when you are there in front of that camera and you got that mic in front of you, Joe Rogan's got that mic in front of you, what you've already practiced is still here. Just speak. Speak. It's that simple. It's that simple. If you need to go to community college to take up speech so you can learn how to speak in front of an audience, please do so. Because this is the difference between you making 10,000 to fight and 10,000 to win, and 80,000 to fight, 80,000 to win in a matter of 2-3 fights. You got to be able to sell your fight. And if you can't sell your fight, you cannot blame the company for not paying you. It is what it is. It is what it is.
100%. Man, look at the genius of Voodoo, fucking bringing Kung Fu Panda and the fucking Master Turtle. That's just some brilliance right there. And you know what? It's not even a community college. I mean, you can 100%, but fuck, everything you need is on fucking YouTube. Just go.
Thank you.
You just fucking watch other people speak, mimic it, fake it until you make it, and then that's it. You know. So that's what I'm saying. Actually, Michael has a great deal. Who wants to get your thoughts on it? I'll weigh in as well. But WrestleMania versus Vince versus Dana White lumberjack match with UFC fighters and WWE superstars. I'm actually gonna raise you, and because most people say, oh, Vince is damn near 80, and Dana's like what, in his 50s or whatever. But here's what I'm saying, right? As shitty as Vince's participation in WrestleMania was, whether it be the Austin Theory, Pat McAfee fucking deal, right? Or the shitty ass stunner that he took and everything like whatever. I see what you're saying, right? But you guys forget that Dana White had Meniere's disease. That fucking little, after that bar fight in Boston, get punched in the fucking head, and the little chip in his fucking eardrum or whatever, just a little bone fragment or whatever. And there's sometimes that he feels like he's 80,000 feet in the air and whatever the fuck, or in a vortex in the center of a tornado. So I'm just saying, Vince, Dana, and it doesn't happen at WrestleMania. But guess what? WWE likes Saudi blood money shows. UFC likes fucking Fight Island, Blood Island, whatever you want to call it. Let's fucking, in the words of Conor McGregor, sign me up. Those two lumberjacks, right? And it happens in fucking Abu Dhabi or United Arab Emirates. That's where that shit happens.
Vince McMahon is too old. I would love. It's a wonderful idea. I mean, look at that stunner that he took, man.
That's cool.
He had to bounce off the rope to go.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Imagine Vince wrapping his fucking fist with the chain, punching Dana White in the other fucking deal, and like, ha ha ha, pal, I gave you Meniere's in your other ear. You thought you got that shit fixed? Ha 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 ha, pal. Bruce, where's Bruce?
Oh my god,
Shane, Stephanie, goddamn pal, protein bars.
Vince McMahon is one of the most enigmatic individuals I've ever seen on TV. He is a trendsetter. He pulls all the stop signs out. Even now in his 80s, he's still diesel for an old man. I mean, allegedly he can lift 1,000 pounds, but I don't believe that shit. Not at no 80. 1,000 pounds, get the hell out of here. But I don't believe that shit.
I don't know. Are you telling me fucking Instagram is fake? I saw some fucking 77-year-old grandma in Tulum, Mexico, and she was fucking getting it on the fucking, coconut fucking bars and shit. So I'm just saying, dude. You don't tell me that shit ain't real.
Shout out 1,000 pounds.
Shaman Steve says age is just a number. Well,
that's right.
If that lady who's 77, right, ended up lifting a damn 400-pound, bench press once, Vince McMahon can Like I'm just saying, like adjusted
I
for
don't know.
inflation, pound for pound shit. I fuck y'all goats, right? The greatest of all time. Fuck y'all goats, right? Because it's subjective. It's whoever you like at that
That's
time.
right.
Your goat list will be different, you know. But here's the deal, right? This shit right here, I can fucking swing. Vince Dana, Saudi Blood Money show for a gazillion dollars, and imagine like if Vince won, he gets the control of the UFC. If Dana won, he gets control of WWE for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. And that 6 week period is during International Fight Week, right? The leading up to it's 6 weeks before International Fight Week if Vince wins, and then 6 weeks before Mania if Dana wins. That's what you do.
That is a wonderful idea, and I would love to see it. That will be as entertaining as it comes. But does Dana have the ability to jump into that realm? That's a question. Does he? You think he
Well,
does?
he
Because
you
because
got to remember when he comes into the okay, so he comes into the UFC as a former boxing trainer,
right,
right? He comes in and then he becomes a manager, and one of his clients was Chuck Liddell, and Chuck
yeah,
Liddell was going into fucking contract negotiations and wanted
right,
X amount of whatever, and they were like, no. And this is back in the days of SEG. They were like, nope, we can't do that. We don't have that much money.
right,
And he's like, oh, word. Dana puts a call to his boys, the Fertitas, and the rest they say is history. So
right.
I'm just saying, Dana at least has cardio kickboxing or boxing skills from 1982. Like,
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true. But how is Dana in the entertainment field? Because I don't
have you
believe
seen a fucking post-fight press conference?
is he
We
good?
we did 7 million. We did fucking 17 million in the live gate. We did this and that. The fucking whatever. Where are we gonna do? Yeah, we're going to Singapore next. Now, come on. Oh, that fucking clown. He'll never fight in the UFC. Women will never be in the UFC.
I
Dana
guess
can
you're
fucking
right.
cut a promo. Come on. Where you been? This is great. Sign me up.
Hey, you think he can keep up with Vince McMahon?
I don't think, but I was gonna say could Donald Trump, but Donald Trump did.
Yeah,
But
Donald
again,
did.
but then again, right? They're all buddies, right? Vince is good with Donald, Dana's good with Donald. That's what you fucking do. You do
Yeah.
that, right? The lumberjack, whatever. You make Donald the fucking referee and shit. Like, man, that's. Oh, and it's a kiss my ass match.
That'll be perfect.
Sign me up. Sign me up. And Mike says, sorry, your BFF George Hermosa no showed on your birthday. Hey, you know what? It takes a lot of dollars to fucking book George Hermosa. Just ask fucking Eric Bischoff. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But speaking of things that we're saying, we had Rude Boy, Randy Brown, going up against Chaos Williams. I had
Yeah,
Chaos Williams to win, but Rude Boy was having none of it. He was
yeah.
being rude to my fucking picks. That's what Randy Brown did. He was rude to my fucking picks because I thought fucking Chaos Williams would have knocked him out 4-3 in the very first round. That didn't happen. It's a split decision going by way of Randy Brown. What are your thoughts?
Um, I also picked Chaos Williams, and what happened yesterday was Randy Brown came into the octagon. He looked me dead in my eyes through the camera, and he made me apologize, as I will right now. I apologize, Randy Brown, for underestimating you. I will never do that again. Randy Brown, since his last tenure in the UFC or his last fight in the UFC, has gone out and polished not only his skills, but his self confidence. The belief that he had in himself yesterday was second to none. There was zero fear of what Chaos William brings to the table, and that's a lot of power. Randy Brown now understands that when he is a moving target, Chaos Williams cannot ever land a clean shot. Randy Brown now understands that movement with excellent utilization of his reach. Not many will be able to hang with him. especially if these opponents are those that do not prefer the ground or there is no threat of a takedown. Randy Brown was in his element, thriving. Randy's movement was flawless. By mid first round, Randy had already slipped into free flow. Not only did he slip into free flow, he was the master of his environment, the master of that octagon for those 15 minutes. Randy Brown did get clipped a few times, but Randy Brown hopped right back up, did whatever he had to do jiu-jitsu wise to get back to his feet, and he made things happen. Randy Brown was perfect on this very night. When in regards to performance of the night, where is Randy Brown's name when it comes to getting a bonus? Because that performance was one to be remembered.
Yes, you see that, right? Where's his name? Where's his name? Well, it's up to the fans because, again, we have our chance, thanks to crypto.com, for a $30,000 Bitcoin bonus. So I'm just saying, if any of us have any type of, yeah, I guess, misclassifications of how Dana and the UFC saw fit, how they doled out their $50,000 bonuses, well, guess what? Us as the fans, we have our choice, and we can vote on whoever we want, and that person or persons, if it's a fight of the night, get an extra 30,000 in crypto. So that's what I'm saying.
That's true, but at the same time, these fans, though they are great people, they do not understand. They do not understand.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say all that.
Though they are paying people, they do not understand the intricacies of what it takes to survive in that cage. They don't understand. And for Randy Brown to fight in the manner that he did, fearlessly against Chaos Williams, it was a flawless performance. Though he was clipped a few times, it was a flawless performance. The fluidity that he moved with, the way he touched Chaos and Chaos couldn't touch him, the head movement. I mean, wow. I was in awe of his performance. Not many get to enter free flow. He did. He did. And I cannot wait to see him do it again. If he can string together 3 to 4 victories like he did, I guarantee you, he will reach the top 5. If he's able to put these kind of performances together 4 or 5 more times, excuse me, he will definitely reach the top 5 of of the welterweight division. I mean, the man is damn near 6'5", making welterweight. He's an anomaly, and anomalies, when they perform well, they get their due diligence, and I cannot wait to see him again.
Neither can I. Neither can I. So shout out to the Rude Boy. But what we have here is literally legends. I consider OSP, the former UFC interim champion, a legend in his time. 26-16, that's a legendary fucking career. But also a legend is Mauricio Shogun Ua. But unfortunately, Shogun, that was OSP essentially got the best of him. This was a split decision. I think Dana White said that Shogun has one last fight on his contract, and they're looking to let him fight it out. So we'll see Shogun Rua one more time. Jesus Christ, Shogun Rua is only about 41. Like, the amount of fucking fights that he's had over the course of his career, we're talking about him and his brother Ninja fucking running roughshod through Pride, just making their fucking legendary status, you know? But then again, guess what? OSP is 39, you know? So these two are similar in age. And the fights that they've had, you know, I mean, fucking OSP was doing shit back at Strikeforce Challenger Series. To put it in perspective, you know who else was on Strikeforce Challenger Series number 12?
Who?
We have Liz Carmouche, right now, uh, Bellator World Flyweight Champion. We had, ooh, actually, not too many people on that same card. I think Liz Carmouche was the only other notable, other than OSP, because we don't know Vitor Ribeiro or Antoine Britt or Justin Wilcox or what have you. But what I can tell you is both the first time that I laid eyes on Daniel Cormier, the first time I laid eyes on Ronda Rousey in terms of MMA context, that was on Strikeforce Challenger Series. And guess what? Those two names that I just mentioned are both in the UFC Hall of Fame. So that's how long that that OSP has been going, man. They're both legends. But it was OSP that got the win. Shogun Rua is going to fight out the remainder of his contract and just wait for his call to the Hall of Fame. I would believe.
Yeah, OSP is a big giant man. A Mauricio, though he is merely 42 years old, he has been fighting for over 20 years. OSP, maybe 10 years, 12 max. Mauricio has been in there with the legends of the sport. Though he is 42 chronologically, physically, and mentally, he is about 80 years old. I do not know how his body continues to hold together at this point. The man has been through every war known to man. He was in a Revolutionary War. He was in a Civil War. He was in a Vietnam War. He was in a Korean War. He was in Desert Storm 1 and 2. He was in the Afghan War. He was in every secret war there is in American history and Brazilian history. The man has put in a lot of work, and yet he was in a war yesterday with Ovince St. Preux. With one more fight left on his contract, I applaud the UFC for not cutting this man, letting him finish out his contract. That is a sign of respect. We know that, Mauricio, it will find it difficult to win nowadays. And to put him in there against a young chop coming up would not be right. Ovince St. Preux was the right choice. Of course, we have a business to run. And a part 2, St. Preux versus Rua, was a smart decision to make. St. Preux didn't go for the kill because he realizes that Mauricio, though old in age or old in battle, he is still a very dangerous human being. As you saw in the third round, Ovince St. Preux damaged his foot while kicking Mauricio. But, it was what it was. Ovince St. Preux with the split decision victory. He moves on. Mauricio has one more. And hopefully, I hope he retires. I don't want to see him in boxing or any. I think he's. I mean, I was seeing Mauricio Shogun Rua since he was 19 years old in Pride, fighting the very best of the best on Juice. He's been around since the days of Juice. He's still around days after Juice. And when I say Juice, I mean performance enhancer, not that stuff you grab out of your refrigerator. He's been through it all. He's been through it all, and he's still here. So, a proper send-off, Hall of Fame, gratitude by the UFC is in play. This is the man that John Jones took the title from and held on to the title until it was stripped away from him some 2-3 times, in which he regained and continued to be flawless until he relinquished the title himself. So, Mauricio Rua, thank you for all you've done for the sport of mixed martial art. Respect, man. I have nothing bad to say about Rua. Only respect.
Look what was on the side. Here we go. Hold on. See
That's
that?
right.
Immortalized with the UFC. This is a championship edition. There's only 3,500 of these that exist in the
That's
world,
right.
and
That's
even
right.
fewer with a UFC belt, the real UFC belt, and it's immortalized. Shogun
That's
Hua
right.
has been on every UFC video game since UFC's acquisition of Pride,
That's
right?
right.
Him
That's
and
right.
his brother, right? I can't remember which UFC, but there was one where you could play as the Pride fighters, or you can, you know, decide to fight Pride rules, or relinquish your championship to go fight over in Pride in the video game.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the funnest experience. Shogun's there. He's getting that money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And talking about maximizing your platform. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just fight money. You sign your fucking digital license away to be played on a video game. That's a quarterly check that comes in every fucking quarter once it's sold until the next one. And then guess what? Your fucking inclusion is a bigger piece of the pie. And you get that. And you get
Mm-hmm.
that. And you get that. And I think Shogun, much like Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor, right? They're never not going to be in a video game. Brock Lesnar, right? Brock Lesnar's in the UFC video game, right? He hasn't been in the UFC for quite some time, since UFC 200, and he's still in there. He's one
Mm-hmm.
of the only people that are in both the UFC and the WWE video games. That's
Mm-hmm.
EA and 2K, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you're getting quarterly checks from them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shogun has half. He's got the EA, and that ain't bad. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying,
Not mad at it.
not mad at it at all.
Mm-hmm.
But things that we're not mad at is obviously the next fight. We have none other than, isn't it?
Michael
No,
Chandler.
this is Michael Chandler versus Tony
Mm-hmm.
Ferguson.
Yep.
I had the other tab and I was trying to figure out when SP fought in Strikeforce. That was me. But yeah, this one was arguably the most spectacular. Yeah, I don't think it's even arguable, right? This is one of the most spectacular finishes in UFC history, in all of
Yep.
MMA history. I mean, Tony Ferguson was whooping that ass to the point where Chandler was, he said it in his post fight with Rogan. He said he couldn't fucking see. He was seeing double vision. He was seeing fucking double vision, right? And he figured out a way, to fucking. I think the sequence he said, he was trying to fake something and whatever, a punch to go into something else or whatever, and then just gut instinct. He was like, fuck, I'm gonna kick him in the fucking chin, and that's what he did. And man, I've been seeing the memes. I fucking hate it, but I do laugh. I'm sorry for laughing, Tony. But if there's a version of it where they basically did a close up on Tony's face, right? And then they did a close up on Frankie Edgar's face, and they have those faces as two old men in the park. It's internet is ruthless, bro. It's
Wow.
I saw the meme of what is it, Tony and then Bambi. You going like, Mom, I can't move. The one with Simba, same with Mufasa, move. And Tony Ferguson is one of the greatest fighters of all time. It sucks that this is happening, but Chandler is also one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Tony had been gone for a while after his fight with I believe it was the current champion.
Gaethje, wasn't it?
Was it the Gaethje fight?
It was Gaethje.
Not the Oliveira fight. I can't remember.
I believe it was Gaethje because I don't know if he had. Did he have a fight with fucking Oliveira? There's so many fights.
Oliveira almost ripped his arm off.
Oh, okay, that's that. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Either way.
So I mean, you're right,
yeah,
dude. Talk about a murderer's row, right?
Yeah.
You had Gaethje, right? Then Oliveira, then Beneil Dariush.
Yeah.
That's ugh,
Yeah, yeah.
wow. And then
So
Chandler.
yeah, right. He had been gone
Jesus
for a minute.
Christ.
I mean, this is what he signed up for. I mean, he is a top 10 competitor. It's only right that you fight top 10 opponents. Everyone in the top 10 is a killer, man. It is what it is. The ones in the top 5 have excellent wrestling in addition to being killers. So let's put that aside. He goes in there against Mike Chandler after he had been gone for some time, heal up, uh, that first 3 to 4 minutes, I could see that he had improved a great deal. He had gone back to the ways of the old Tony that we recognize. Stick and move, Tony. You know what I'm saying? The front kicks were starting to come into effect, kicking the body with the front tip kicks, snapping kicks, not that Muay Thai one. Everything was on point. Tony was doing what he had to do. He was doing it so well that Mike Chandler was like, forget this. Where's the double leg? He shot that double leg, he swooped them up, dropped them down, and he maintained dominant control on the ground. This was when Tony Ferguson was able to drop that elbow and cut him up. He starts bleeding. The round ends. We move into the second round. They were moving around, and Mike Chandler threw a front kick that landed perfectly. Uh, from the looks of that kick, I saw no technique whatsoever. I saw, I didn't see someone who had practiced front kicks for some time. Uh, it was so bad. The kick was so bad that it was so bad in execution that Tony Ferguson thought it was a leg kick. So he swiped his arm in an attempt to pass the kick that was going to kick him in his leg, which wasn't there, right? The kick continued to rise and it struck him dead on his chin, putting him out immediately. After the hit, Tony was out for a few, maybe a minute or two. Uh, when he did come back to consciousness, I looked in his eyes and I saw a man that wasn't there. He realizes that he's in a match. He realizes there's an opponent. But when you look at him, you can see that he wasn't aware of where he was at. He wasn't aware of what just happened. He was badly damaged. It was saddening to see him go out like that. Um, this is why, as a fighter, you cannot guess what your opponent is going to do. Um, when I train my students and I use the focus mitts, they try and anticipate what I'm going to do before I do it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Tony did that yesterday, and he paid for it with his consciousness. He assumed it was going to be a leg kick. You can never assume. Assumption, they say, makes an ass out of you, not me, because I don't assume. Uh, Tony will made an ass of himself, which is why he got knocked out. Um, it was a terrible mistake. I was banking on Tony winning that fight, and he was doing great up until that one mistake that cost him everything. Should Tony be released from the UFC? I don't think so. I don't think so. Uh, the level of competition that he's facing is it's up there. Do I believe the UFC should allow Tony tune-up matches? I believe so. I believe so. Uh, Mike Chandler, congratulations. But I do not believe you when you say you saw the opening, so you threw the kick. I do not believe that. I believe it was a lucky kick that landed. Uh, when you reach back like a soccer player and throw a kick, a front kick, there is no aim in that. There is no aim. Yes, There was an opening here between the guard. There was an opening. But for you to say you aimed at that chin, get the hell out of here. I believe you won the lottery. And you had the insight, the foresight to throw the kick, but you didn't believe it was going to land. And I'll tell you why I knew you didn't believe it was going to land. You did some 4 backflips after you landed the kick. That tells me right there that you were so happy that the kick landed. You know, it wasn't something that you planned in training camp. It wasn't something you observed in training camp, and you figure, okay, a front kick will be the right thing to do. And I think you threw the kick and it landed. It landed, but it wasn't because you had excellent marksmanship. You didn't have excellent marksmanship. It was just a lucky shot. You won the lottery. But one thing that I will say that you were ready for was that post-fight commentary, man. That shit was flawless. I loved every moment of it. He started off answering questions, saying that, he saw an opening, he took it, which is fine, whatever. But then when the going got tough, you got going. When you make that call out for the winner of Gaethje or Oliveira. And if they can't do that for you, give me Conor McGregor. Give me Conor McGregor at 170. I want you at your finest, at your best. That was flawless. Flawless mic skills. It don't get no better than that. You get on the mic and you show some enthusiasm. You show some desire, right? That's all you need to show. And that makes it believable. Even if you yourself don't believe what's coming out of your mouth, let the veins popping out of your neck, the flexing of your pecs, the delts, the traps when you speak, let that resonate with the fans and let them remember that was the seed being planted by Chandler. And see you at the top, whatever it is that he says. See you at the top to wrap it up, and then he's out of there. That's how you talk on the mic, folks. That's how you talk on the mic. Not only did he plant 1 seed, he planted 2. I'll take the winner of the Oliveira Gaethje fight, or I'll take the money fight. You can't go wrong with that. You can't go wrong. You can't give me the bet. You can't give me the first one. Well, why don't you give me the second one then? He set himself up for success. So either way, he wins. He gets the winner of the Charles fight. He wins. He gets McGregor. Ching, ching. Either way, he wins.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a couple things there, right? So, you said about technique, right? It wasn't the best technique, but if it wins and it lands, it lands, right? Like how many?
Yeah, it does.
And that you caught one of the best in the world in Tony Ferguson, right? And not just best in the world, best of all time, right? And you were able to disorient him in a way that I don't think a lot of people have been able to. It's historic.
No one has ever done that.
Dead dick in the dirt. Dead dick in the dirt. Just knocked him stiff. He looked like a twig. And so there's that, right? Second, obviously, I'm one who thinks about the fighters, longevity, as well you do, right? And we care. I have long since had the stance, especially after the war that he had with Gaethje, right? And he being Tony Ferguson, I was like, yo, I want when Tony comes back, I want him to go on a run, like a run that leads him to the actual UFC fucking title, and then he can call it a day. But the second he takes one punch to the head, he could sub everybody off his back. He could KO everybody, whatever. He could get body shot and go to a unanimous or a split decision win, right? But the minute he gets one punch or one kick to the head, I'm out, because this is somebody who I mean, he took a long sabbatical out this last year, right? After the Benil Darius fight. Well, guess what? He also took about a year off the last time he had a big sabbatical, and that was because he was placed on a psych hold because his wife said he was basically hearing shit from the walls, beneath the walls, and getting all paranoid, and he had to be placed on a psych hold. Like, so getting punched in the face isn't going to help that plight at all. And that was a couple years back. I care about Tony Ferguson, right? I don't, might not agree with anything, but here's the only interaction that I had with Tony Ferguson was at a party, right? And he had just won the interim championship. And then right after, Eddie Bravo belted him with the same belt that came from John
John
Jacques
Jock.
Machado, exactly, to Eddie and then to Tony. So it was an amazing night. He had both belts, and he was basically made a speech, and he was like, "But this belt, his black belt, that's the real fucking belt, right? That's the one that I work for, right?" So anybody who approached him wanted a picture. He was cool. I was able to do it with my friend from the 5th grade that just so happens to be training at 10 Planet West LA. And we hadn't seen each other up until that time. Like since we were 5th, 6th grade to about now at a 10 Planet party. And here's Tony Ferguson. And he let me take the picture of my friend Gabriel, right? Shout out to Gabriel. And drape the title on his shoulder and then points, right? And then we switch, and then Gabriel takes a picture of me with Tony draping the UFC championship there. So as a belt guy, I literally have a UFC championship picture with the interim champion and Cody Rhodes when he won the NWA 10 pounds of gold after All In or All Out or whatever it was. He basically let me hold Sweet Charlotte. So that to me is the best. So I'm saying, like Tony Ferguson, anybody talk shit about Tony Ferguson, anybody talk shit about Cody Rhodes, I might not agree with everything that they do, but respect, dude. That the one time that I was up there, they didn't have to. They saw the fucking passion and was like, "Here, take my title," right? But I can't, in good faith, watch him getting hit in the head like that after his psych hold. I can't do it. I'm out. I'm out. And I know he was talking about possibly doing boxing, fighting out his contract. They're not gonna let him. Well, I don't know if he's at his contract because you know he's got 4 straight losses at this point. Dana White said he's not gonna cut him. He's still one of the best, the top 10 in the world, right? But
Hey
again,
man,
I
hey,
can't.
this is what we've been talking about in regards to fighter pay. Even if the man wants to retire right now, he can't. And he's got like 2, 3 kids. He can't retire. He's got a mortgage. He's got a gym that he needs to pay for. He's got no money, which is why he's still here. He he, he loves fighting, but he sees the damage that he's taking. He's not a stupid man. Tony Ferguson is not a stupid man. But the game does not pay him for the time that he's been in the UFC. This man should have at least $10 million in the bank, at the least. He's been in a game, Ultimate Fighter winner. He's been in a game some 13, 14 years. Every year that he's in a game should have been $1 million, especially performing at the level that he performed, stringing together 12 straight victories. Every one of those victories should have been like 100,000 pay raise. I don't agree with giving everyone that comes into UFC a large sum of money. But when you've come into the UFC and you've put in the work that Tony Ferguson has, the man at this point should be getting no less than 1.5 million to fight. No less than that. No less than that. And he's not getting that. If Tony Ferguson is lucky, after that devastating shot he took yesterday, if he's lucky, he'll get $300,000 if he's lucky. Now, a third of that is going to go to his manager. Another 15% is going to go to his gym, his coaches, needs to get paid, taxes. And then what's left? $80,000. What the hell is Tony Ferguson going to do with $80,000? Huh? Huh? After doctor's fees, psych, come on. They're not getting paid enough. Not everyone deserves to get paid like that. But Tony has given everything to the UFC. Everything. Tony deserves that kind of money. Not everyone. Tony does his best on the mic. When he gets on the mic, he does his best. Tony does his best in the ring. When he gets in that cage, he does his best. You saw yesterday, he did his best. Why is the man not getting his due pay? Why? This is why he's talking about boxing. If these fighters are getting what they deserve, they wouldn't be asking about no goddamn boxing. They'll be loyal to their brand, which is mixed martial arts. But they see over there, they look over the fence and they see all these people eating lobster and steak. And they're over here eating McDonald's. Of course they want some of that steak. They want some of that caviar on the other side. Canelo just lost yesterday, but I guarantee you he swoops up $50 million. Has Canelo earned the $50 million? You goddamn right he has. You goddamn right he's earned it. With fighting alone. Boxing alone. Canelo's not great on the mic. You know what? I take that back. Get the fuck out of here. Shut the fuck up. That's some good shit. Get the fuck out of here, man.
He's
payday.
learned.
Another payday. Another payday. You just want payday. That's good. That's good commentary.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But all in all, man, some of these fighters deserve more than they're getting. And that's all I'm trying to say.
No, I agree. I agree 100%, but this is where, Tony Ferguson is irreverent. He's eccentric, right? That's everything that we love, but also we hated about Tony Ferguson, right? He shut Brett Okamoto down, right? In one of the oddest fucking interviews ever.
Perfect.
Okay, that's cool, right? But now, if you draw the irony of the press, and maybe if your diehards are like, maybe you kind of died. The presence of El Cucuy is dropped down a few rungs, right? So how are you going to get people to get along with you in your sentiment of you need to be paid more? You can't do it.
But look, Tony Ferguson chose to be a bad guy. He chose the bad guy route, which is perfectly fine. But because he's a bad guy, he shouldn't get paid. I mean, these people, these media, they need to recognize. They themselves need to recognize that this is sports entertainment. The way Tony Ferguson speaks to you on the camera is not the way he is in his personal life. I don't believe. McGregor, the way he speaks on the internet is not the way he is in his personal life. Many people have come out and say, this is one of the nicest men you've ever met in your life.
I'm not saying he's not nice, but the same speech patterns and everything like that. When Tony's talking on the mic, that is
right.
That is Tony. There's no. I'm not bullshitting you.
Okay.
Because I mean, the night that I was mentioning about him, coming in with the belts and taking a picture and putting the belt on my shoulder, right? That was the same night that Conor McGregor jumped the cage at Bellator. And I literally asked him. I didn't know. I still don't know. Tony wouldn't know me from any whatever. But we were around mutual friends that I know who knew him, that knew me. And we were all like, there was about 8 of us in a circle. And it just came through all of our phones. And I was the first one to ask him. I was literally right next to him. And I said, Tony, like, what do you think about Conor? right? And I showed him whatever, and he goes, "I don't care about the McNuggets." In the same way that he cut in every promo up to that point. So I'm just saying, like,
Hey, but you are media though,
no, this wasn't a media
technically.
thing. He would have known I was media. This wasn't. This was a 10th planet party. This
Okay.
was,
Okay.
this wasn't a media event. This is whatever. This is him and his 10th planet jiu-jitsu family, right? Which have become, even though I haven't trained 10th planet jiu-jitsu, but I've been interviewed, whatever, that I've become family. And that is something I'm amazing. Like I'm amazed with. Same thing with Blackout. Same with bits of Ruka. Same with CSW. CMMA, UWFI. All of these elite gyms along from the greater Los Angeles area up to Antelope Valley down to San Diego. I'm super, super fortunate. But this is amongst friends. This is, and he had that. There was no, and I watched how he moved about the room. He's the same cat. And that's good when it's good, bad when it's bad. And unfortunately, I'm not saying you need, like, imagine if Tony Ferguson had his own podcast and the interviews that he could be able to do if he was a little bit more adaptive to everybody else's deal. Tony is a leader, right? He's a leader in the instance of he leads. He leads in conversation. He leads, in terms of practice. People that we know have, like Tommy Aaron, right? He's
Mm-hmm.
a leader in practice. He's a leader, right? We saw that with Cowboy. Cowboy says he's got the BMF ranch out in New Mexico, right? What happens? What happens? He took a year or two out, or I think it was a year out, right? And literally parked in the parking lot in an RV at the PC. And he's like, he said on press row, he was like, you know, I'm the fucking captain at BMF. And, sometimes I'm supposed to run 9 miles, I run 6, whatever. And nobody's going to tell me anything because I'm the fucking head coach, right? Sometimes you need that discipline. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the same about Tony, but just on what I've seen, what little I've seen, like me and Tony Ferguson aren't the best of chums or whatever, but do I respect him? Yes. But it's out of that respect that I want him to have something post fight with his family. He's got a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful family,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful wife. Like, do that, dude. Like, do that.
Hey, do you see Tony Ferguson getting a desk job?
No,
That's why he's still fighting. There's no way he's going to yes sir to anybody. It's not in him. He, like you said, he is that lion. He is that lion, and he's got a long mane. And there's no way he's going to allow some other lion to dictate to him what he is or isn't going to do. Right? He did go back to that old coach, his old wrestling coach.
yeah,
So to some level, he understands that there's an advantage to answering to someone, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone to that coach. I believe he was on his way to winning that match yesterday. I believe Tony still has something tangible that can take him to the championship. But some things have to change. Tony has to become more of a mixed, complete fighter. He's got capabilities of a complete fighter, but he's got to step away from brawls and standing up. He's good at those things, but I believe Tony can be something of old if he mixes it up like Lupita did, right? If he clinches and he elbows in the clinch and he knees and he goes for the takedown and he jujitsus and he boxes when he has to and he kickbox when he has to. If he goes back to that style of fighting, I believe Tony can 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 revamp himself and minimize the damage that he takes when he goes into these wars. I say he stays away from wars and he goes for more efficiency, path of least resistance. I believe he's got the brain to do it, and I believe he can execute it, even at the highest level, even against the top 5. I believe he can do so. What say you, brother?
There's damn it. My computer's going whacked. But I don't know. Well, I mean, before I appreciate it, you giving me the floor, but I think Bruce Bobtrotter has some hot takes here. So
What's
he
up,
says,
Bruce?
"Bro, Chandler needs to pick a focus in his callouts, calling multiple rematches. Then Connor, too unfocused, pick a damn thing like a man. Uh, his callout was rambling and incoherent. I see what you're saying, Bruce,
Uh,
but it worked. It works. How
yeah,
many fucking Ultimate Warrior fucking promos? How many
right.
fucking nonsensical Hogan promos did we have to fucking suffer through? How many Tito Ortiz fucking crushing juice boxes? Like if it works, it works. Just like Chandler,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
Chandler, he wasn't planning for that fucking move. That move worked.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
That's all that like to me, that's all that matters. Like,
yeah.
what
Bob
that is.
Trotter,
Yeah.
Bob Trotter. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He did the matchmaker's job for him. He planted the seeds into the fans' ears
Yeah.
like he was supposed to. He skipped the middleman and he spoke
Yeah.
directly to the people.
Yeah.
Hey, and Spartacus said, "You own the crowd, you own your freedom."
Yep. Oh, I love
Spartacus
that
said it.
show.
What about the guy from Gladiator? What was his name?
Russell Crowe.
Maximus. Maximus also said the same thing. Own the crowd and you own your freedom. He's only trying to own his freedom, man. He named 3 fights, 3 mega fights. The third one being Conor McGregor, meaning payday for him. If he fights Gaethje, it's a mega blockbuster. We remember what happened the last time. If he fights Charles Oliveira, he is the champion. He gets a title shot, right? Title shot, mega blockbuster, or massive payday. You can't go wrong with those 3, Bob Trotter. You cannot go wrong. I'm not mad at him for them 3 call outs. And that was a calculated call out. Calculated. 3 possible options for him. 3 possible options. He can only win. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, 100%. 100%. He also says, good riddance to that cringy weirdo, Tony Ferguson. Trying to
Oh,
listen to any of his interviews automatically lowers your IQ.
oh.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong. Like, somebody asked me, like, oh, would you interview Tony Ferguson? No. And again, this is no, I love Tony Ferguson, but you could love something and not, like, I don't know. You could like fucking what? The Bellas, right? The Toto Bellas, right? The one that was engaged to John Cena, and the other one married to Bryan Danielson, right? You could love them and not want to see any of their goddamn matches, right? They're WWE Hall of Famer, not really knowing how to work. But what is the work, right? There's more fucking women that come to WWE live events and patron WWE shit just because they've seen this Total Divas and Total Bellas, right? So does that, because they're not wrestling 5-star classics, does that diminish their Hall of Fame career and all the things that the new eyes that they brought? That's what I'm saying, right? So for me, dude, Rogan hasn't even fucking had Tony on the fucking podcast. They're boys. They train together at fucking
You sure they're
Legends.
still boys? You sure they're still boys?
I don't. Well, they were boys at one point, is what I'm
At
saying.
one point, yeah.
And even
At one point.
even in the early days of the podcast, right, when it wasn't $100 million Spotify deal, all that jazz, not jizz. He didn't have him on because that's a weird one to kind of you. Tony
But
Ferguson is a leader, right? And he'll lead the conversation. He'll overtake your fucking interview or your podcast. This is Joe Rogan's experience, not the Tony Ferguson experience. And why aren't we getting a fucking Tony Ferguson experience? Because he does this shit when he gets on the mic. That's like, what the fuck?
hey, but even if Tony Ferguson is as such, I believe the interviewer should give him the floor. Give him the floor. I mean, let him speak. I mean, you do it all the time, man. I don't want to hear that,
Yes.
man.
No,
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 no.
no, no, no.
No,
You do it all the time. You do it. You let the people talk.
True.
If he wants to talk, let him talk. This isn't an ego thing. You brought the man on your show to interview him. So ask him one question and let him go. If he wants to ramble on, let him ramble on.
Yeah, no, but so where, because there are some, and I'll give you some examples, right? There might be a person, and this is just my experience, right? There might be somebody in an amateur fight, his first fight, he's literally sold, or she's literally sold, you know, $10,000 worth of tickets for an amateur fight that they're not getting any bit of it. But again, like 30% of that dang venue is for this person, right? And they fucking have this 7-second knockout. Fucking everybody's putting it on their Instagram for an amateur show and whatever, right? A person that nobody knows the name of. And still probably after that knockout, right? It doesn't say blah, 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 KOs this person. It's just like, oh, fucking MMA KO, blah, 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 whatever, right? So I'm going to interview that person, right? Because again, whatever in them basically ushered them into, convincing, again, $10,000 of tickets worth sold, right? That enabled them to, whether it be momentum, skill, or whatever, a 7-second KO, right? And you get them on the mic, the fucking light flashes, and it's blah, 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 blah. And that's nothing against it. And that's where it's my job. Okay, we're going to do so many of these that we're not going to do that again, right? So you can have your own podcast. Like, do interviews yourself. Ashley Evans Smith, she's a name that you know of in the UFC. You know her podcast, the Sex and Violence with Rebel Girl podcast. Like, you know this, right? And she herself is an interviewer, and a damn good one at that. Dare I say, great. I'm surprised that the fucking UFC hasn't even picked her up. But guess what? It's even better that way because she's developing her own name outside of the UFC. So should she get cut, and I'm not saying she should get cut or anything like that, but shit happens. She has her own brand beyond fighting. She has her own sponsorships beyond fighting. Adam and Eve, the fucking, adult pleasure site, is one of her main sponsors. Lest we forget, Rogan's first paid sponsor way back in the day was the Fleshlight. Literally, synthetic lady parts in a flashlight, which is weird as shit. I don't even know. But if it's you, do your thing, boo-boo. So I'm just saying, like, there's a time and a place when you interview somebody that is bombastic, right? Mean Gene, Joe Rogan, they're great at this, right? Jim Ross, these are some of my mentors. Chris Kloss from XPW, Jonathan King, somebody that you know very well. Donna Gonzalez. These are some of my mentors. Rafa Sparza, right? There are times you just let them go, and there are times where you have to fish it out. You got to fish it out, and that's the balance. Tony hasn't found that balance where could you imagine if Tony Ferguson could get paid as much, almost like DC, right? As much, not fighting, but commentating and analyzing as he did when he was, actual fighting, right?
Hey, Tony Gates. Wait, not Tony Gaethje. Tony Ferguson. He's been on a broadcast before, the UFC broadcast. Yeah, I remember he was talking to someone. Someone called him out while he was doing the broadcast. Yeah, I definitely remember that. He was on set, and he was interviewing the fella, and the fella spoke foul to him, and he was like, "Hey, we can handle this anytime." I remember this. I believe. Yeah, who was that person? Who was that?
I'm trying to figure it out. Let's see.
Yeah. Let me look at Tony's record of
late night
of
with
opponents.
Tony. Wow, late night show with Tony Ferguson.
Who was this?
He is a podcast. Well, I mean, that podcast. The last
was it Kevin Lee? It might have been Kevin Lee, man.
the last podcast was in 2009.
It might have been Kevin Lee.
Okay. No,
Not
I
a
mean,
podcast. Not a podcast. Like,
well, he had
that
his own
WW, not WW, UFC, whatever,
unfiltered. That might have been
something.
what is it? Jim Norton and Matt Serra, right? The
I don't
UFC.
remember something.
But in any event, right? He did have a
Mhm.
podcast that, but it ended. The last upload was in 2019, right?
Mm.
And again, I'm not telling anybody, I'm not giving financial advice or anything like that. But even Shaman Steve says, does he have a gym? Yes, he has a gym
Yeah,
that's
he has a
close,
personal gym,
but
his
it's
own gym.
personal, right? He doesn't open up to anybody else, right? Because he's set phasers to sun. But these are the
Well,
things.
the
These are the
reason he
things.
doesn't open up to anybody else is he doesn't want people stealing his art and then like telling the opponent. I believe he had a bad experience, and this is the primary reason he doesn't train with other people. He doesn't want uh his uh his
Essence.
techniques. No,
Yeah,
not really his essence. His game plan.
yeah,
He doesn't want his game plan being exposed to the opponent, and you know what I'm saying. That's why he doesn't do other people, right? But perhaps when he's done, Shaman Steve, perhaps when he's done fighting, he'll be able to coach other people. But I don't see him. I have a strong feeling he's going to be like me. He doesn't coach for the money. I don't believe he will be the type of person to coach for the money. I believe he will coach his way. And if you can hang and hack it, then you will hang and hack it. I strongly believe this is what he would do. And that doesn't bring money. It doesn't transition to money. So uh, will he be able to run a gym? I don't know.
yeah. And again, this is the plight that I was trying to get to. The fucking prospects of when Tony Ferguson gets, it's the river runs dry when you get outside of fighting, right? He's only got 2 years left, I think,
If
right?
that long.
If that long, right? So you mean to tell me that Tony Ferguson is just going to earn a living for the 2 more years? That's what's going to happen. That's he's worked himself into his shoot, right? That he's so good at fighting that he can't do anything else. It's a savant, right? But once that thing has a shelf life, it could be the next fight. The outcome of the next fight could seal his deal, seal his fate. And guess what? He's without an income. How does his fucking kids get to fucking college? How does his mortgage get paid? How is he going to get the health care that he needs? He's going to need after all these fucking wars. That's what I'm saying. So, that I fear, and he's backed himself into a corner, and at a time where he needs not to be backed into a corner. And you're telling me the pandemic he couldn't get anything going, right? Like just beyond himself. Again, he's the coach. He's the coach. He does whatever the fuck he wants to do. But the catch-22 of that is being able to appeal that to, because he doesn't want to appeal to anybody but himself. Now we're at an impasse. That's what I'm saying.
Well, the thing, the thing, the thing, uh, the thing here is once the UFC is over, and he has to rely on himself to make income. I think he has the initiative to. I would like to think that he to adapt and change his ways and become a coach that's okay with making money rather than quality students, quantity rather than quality. I hope he's able to transition from quality to quantity so he can continue to pay his bills.
I hope so too. But at a time, like, we don't know Tony Ferguson after this fucking knockout, right? And he's going to be out 6 months to a year, right?
Easy.
Easy, right? So then That's another 6 months a year, no income, right? And then you might get one more fucking fight. Like what? Like you're just gonna fucking ride this shit until the wheels off. Like you're gonna be a podcaster with one more fight that's beyond this. Whatever your cognitive ability ain't gonna be there. You're
Mm.
fucking, learning a new skill, going back to college, whatever the fuck that you're thinking about doing, selling real estate. I don't care what the fuck it is. You're gonna need some cognitive ability, and that cognitive ability ain't gonna be there. And what we got? That's what I'm saying. Again, I've said it since the Gaethje fight. Literally, I want Tony Ferguson to go on a run towards the title and win the title, and then but I'm out as soon as he gets hit in the head, and that's happened. So I'm out on Tony Ferguson as an active competitor, because again, we know what happens to fucking Junior Seau and all those other fucking football players with the head trauma. We know what happened with Chris Benoit. We knew what happened with fucking War Machine, right? A piece of shit, right? Fucking yeah. It doesn't end well. That's all I'm saying.
Hey man, we just wish Tony the best. We hope everything works well for him because he is
I
that
do.
warrior. He is that honorable human being. We don't get it wrong, people. We are not against Tony. We are for
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah.
We just wish the best for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I want much like Shogun Hua. I want
Yeah,
Tony Ferguson in every UFC video game so he gets that fucking check, that
yeah,
quarterly check, up
yeah.
until that next one comes out, and him on that one too. Give him a fucking cover. Do anything. I'm out. Seeing him fight, I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
out.
I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Uh,
So
that was hard to watch, man.
it was. It,
Out, man.
it was the memes. Same hard. But speaking of things that are hard to watch, we have the co-main events of the evening. We have the reigning, well, at the time, reigning defending UFC strawweight champion, one Thug Rose Namajunas, against Carla, the Cookie Monster Esparza, the former Invicta and UFC inaugural strawweight champion. I don't think we got to spend too much time on it. Carla Esparza win. It was much disputed. This one to me was the female equivalent of UFC 209 Wonder Boy and Tyron Woodley. That was exactly, uh, that's exactly it. Yeah, I don't, yeah. I was disappointed. So disappointed.
Hey,
I
this
understand
fight,
it, but I'm disappointed.
this fight, though it lacked luster, as they say, it was a chess match of the mind, and I'll tell you why. Carla Esparza was coming into this match the champion. Carla was the champion, though she did not have the championship gold around her waist. She was the champion. Why? Because she already had a win over Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas, we know her to be one that is physically gifted, athletically gifted. But here, she needs a driver. Rose Namajunas is equivalent to a Lamborghini, a Bugatti, a Ferrari without a driver. But you get that driver in her, as in someone outside speaking to her, telling her how to drive this car, then she has the potential to be whatever she wants to be. But on this particular night, I believe the coaching staff were fearful of Carla. In turn, Rose was fearful of Carla. Rose showed no belief in her attributes. She showed no belief in her jiu-jitsu, her wrestling, her kickboxing, and her boxing. Zero. Even her Muay Thai, she had no belief in it. Carla Esparza, on the other hand, though cautious and mindful of what Rose brings to the table, she had nothing to lose. So therefore,
She didn't have to initiate. She already beaten Rose. Carla was the champion in this matter. Rose was the challenger. Rose was the one. It was it was on her to go in that match and dictate the pace of that match instead of waiting for Carla to attack so she can counterattack. Carla's coaches already examined Rose. They know what I know. What I'm saying right now, they already know about her. They know she's heavily reliant on counter striking. So they took that away. They took away the counter striking. And once they did that, Carla didn't attack. Now Rose is exposed, as they say. Exposed. That word is overused, by the way. But on this particular night, I truly believe Rose was exposed. And once she was exposed, we saw that she was fearful. She was not a confident champion as Charles Oliveira was. Huge difference. Not a confident champion. And that's what you saw. Carla realized that if Carla doesn't do anything, Rose wouldn't do anything. So, stole a couple of takedowns, a couple of touch here and there. When the judges have nothing to judge, but they do see takedowns, that speaks loud. The whole 25 minutes was judged on 2 takedowns to 1. And that was that. There was nothing else to judge. They didn't really hit each other. But the takedowns were clear and decisive. Those were the only 3 decisive things that happened in that match. And Carla had 2. Rose had 1. And that was that. Split decision. How can you have a split decision victory with no one getting hurt?
I know it spit our fucking attention spans. That's what it did. I guess we gotta fucking make a decision. Yeah,
What?
exactly. So it is what it is.
And
But
I
we are at
that, by the way, at that decision, they had it perfect. It was a perfect decision.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I if it
You
would have
picked,
been a
did you?
huh?
You picked Carla to win.
Yes, I did. But
Yeah, picked
I
Carla. I picked Rose. But when that little graph came up of the fight list,
yeah, it
yeah,
made sense.
I
It
picked,
definitely
picked
made
Carla.
sense.
I picked
It
Carla.
made it made sense, and she set a record, right? The longest time in between UFC titles,
Three
like
thousand.
literally, it was like a fucking Bruno Sammartino fucking title reign, two
Yeah.
thousand three
7
hundred and
years.
some odd. Yeah, dude. I mean, shout out to Carlos Esparza. Shout out to Alex Perez. Shout out to Colin Oyama. Those two actually wished this guy a happy birthday before, like hours before a fucking title fight and an eventual title win. Both coaches of Carla. So Mario Yamasaki, to both of you gentlemen, just amazing. And I would like to see Carla, put some respect on this day. Like she was being very PC, right? It almost sounded like Carla Esparza hearing the echo of booze or whatever. It would almost sound like she was running for the candidate to become the UFC strawweight champion. She didn't sound like she was just like like it was miscongeniality. She tried to fucking turn it around and you know. And shout out to Carla Esparza because like she's got a lot on her plate, right? She just bought her house. She's about to get married and go on a honeymoon. Like UFC title fight. It's a fucking lot, man. Jesus Christ. So
Still through the
huh?
whole.
She did what?
I said, and she still remained focused throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Carla Esparza, man. Like I'm not talking shit. I just if anybody do what like Aljamain Sterling did, right? Where if anybody fucking disputes your fucking title lineage, you fucking next fight, you make him like, nah, bitch, I'm the fucking champ. So and obviously that's gonna happen after her wedding and a subsequent honeymoon. Shout out, congratulations to Carla and her fiance. It's going to be a good time, probably in Irvine. So just shout out to you guys, man. It's awesome. It's awesome. But what was awesome? The fucking main event of the evening. Oh, Jesus Christ! Right before, Bruce Bob said, "This is why a chick fight should be banned." I wouldn't say that.
What did you say? What did you say when Anderson Silva and Ike Corte or whatever did that? Same thing in Abu Dhabi. Same exact thing. Did you say ban men fighting? When
exactly.
What is that? Wonder Boy and the former champ, the black fella?
Woodley. I was there for one of them.
And fighting.
Fuck that. I'm good. I don't want to see that shit ever again. I never want to see either one of them fight ever again. I got the Tonys for both of them for different reasons. It's not because I don't. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. And Bruce says send him back to Invicta. God. And I'm rocking with Invicta too. Invicta, shout out to Shannon Knapp and the rest of the crew.
Dope.
Invicta's fucking my favorite, bar none, my fucking favorite MMA promotion. Women's fighting, is in many ways, even after these stars of Ronda Rousey and Kayla Harris and Chris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes, it's still in the doldrums, right? They're not regarded as some of the best in the world, and I that's a problem for me. So like, I'm not saying, I say support Invicta, support every fucking female fight from amateur to pro on your regional scene, whatever. Yep. If you got a couple, bucks and everything like that. I know a lot of fighters, amateur and pro, both female and male. You go on their Instagram and they got a link tree. They either got a subscription to YouTube. Hit that subscription. Hit that like button. Whatever the fuck. They might have a Cash App or a Zelle fucking posted to it. Send them some money. Like, send them beer money. Whatever the fuck. Dude. Like, just, we need more support, and shout out to Fighter Support that was actually doing that for both MMA fighters and media. So they're now defunct, but it was a good time while it was there. But speaking of times, again, main event of the evening, we got Justin, the highlight reel Gaethje, former World Series of Fight champion, the precursor to PFL, going up against Charles do Bronx Oliveira, who unfortunately got stripped because he was a half pound over in the weigh-ins. And again, normally you could have worked that off, but I think it was like a 4 or 5 hour window. He literally showed up 15 minutes before the end of the fucking, the time period, right? If he had shown up any later, they would have just called the fight fucking off, right? So he was able to cut that half pound, but still remained his dominance, choked the shit out of Gaethje. And really, who's a quitter now? Justin, shut your mouth. I mean, that was uttered by one highlight reel Gaethje. And poor Trevor Whitman, who is really getting an acclaim for not just his coaching acumen, but also his Onyx gloves and gear. From the shoes to the bags to everything. Onyx gear is where it's at. But unfortunately, he had two of his champions, like a champion and would-be champion, lose in back-to-back fights.
I gotta take that. No, you got no. 3 of his champions took an L last night. Did you see
the third one?
Outfit?
Huh?
Did you see Usman's outfit?
Oh God!
That was
God! Oh God! But you know what? Yeah, I'm not blaming fucking Whitman on that one because
he's guilty by association, bro. He lost 3 fighters.
But that would be like, oh, fucking Gordon Ryan is not the fucking greatest jiu-jitsu practitioner, no-gi jiu-jitsu practitioner, just because fucking God, what's his name? Jesus Christ.
The fella.
Yeah, John. Jesus. John Danaher.
Yeah.
Just so Gordon Ryan is not the best because John Danaher wears rash guards everywhere. You can't do that. John Danaher was, from what I hear, rash guards to dates. So that'd be like nullify fucking his whole run just because Danaher doesn't know how to dress. I'm not saying all that, but what I'm saying is, highlight reel got lit up by fucking Oliveira. Oliveira again. I didn't like the shit. Obviously, it's two ways about it, right? If you're talking about fights, right? Fucking Oliveira beat that ass. But if you're talking about like the stability of the title, fucking Oliveira let us all down, right? And that's where it's gonna be.
What do you mean now? How?
Because it's not a title. It was a one-way title switch.
But,
he knew. Look, a 5-hour window, Voodoo.
But
he was 5-hour window.
The night before, he was on weight before he went to sleep.
Yes, but
he was on weight.
Dana White even said it, and I mean, take it with a grain of salt because it is Dana, right? But Oliveira, like all of the international, like us here in North America, are the only one, and really America, that does it. Our weight measurement, your unit of measure is pounds. Everywhere else, it's kilos or stone in the UK, right? So Dana White even said, the fucking, the international people and the coaches or whatever, the night before, they tinker around with the scale or whatever, right? So I know what Oliveira was saying, right? The night of and everything like that. But again, let's just say it was a 5-hour window. And guess what? You come at 4:45. And he nullified his way of the process of working that off. Now, I will also say, on top of all of that, weight cutting is fucking stupid. And none more evident than when fucking Oliveira was weighing in and it came in a half a pound over and got stripped. What did Gaethje said? I was up to fucking 200 pounds.
He was 10 pounds heavier already.
Right. So what the fuck is the point in weight classes if you're not fighting at the fucking weight? Weight cutting is stupid, kills your kidneys. It's something that was borrowed over from fucking wrestling and boxing as UFC tried to make its way through the athletic commission state by state by state. And what did they recognize? They recognize boxing. They recognize wrestling. What's the point? If you fucking fight at 180 pounds, guess what? You guys are 180 pounders, right? If you fight at 170 or you weigh in by the time, to me, the shit on the advertisement, the shit on the marquee, right? On what division fight this is what weight both fighters fight at when they step into the octagon or the ring or whatever the fuck. Otherwise, the weight classes don't matter. The titles don't matter. You've showed it with the fucking one-way title switch. Not even wrestling does that. AEW had a Ring of Honor Women's World Championship, interim versus the incumbent. Ring of Honor, not AEW, not WWE, fucking Ring of Honor. The Ring of Honor Women's Championship unification that happened on AEW is more legitimate than the fucking UFC title that Oliveira once held, because there was at least a stability in the market. So if it goes to fights, it was a hell of a fight. Charles Oliveira is one of the best in the world at fighting. When it comes to weight cutting, probably not the best. But weight cutting is also fucking stupid, in my estimation.
Oh, I hear you, man. But Charles Oliveira was not the only one to have a problem with that same scale.
Yeah.
But Overseas Prue had the same issue with the scale. Luckily for Overseas Prue, he wasn't in a championship match.
Right, true.
Right? So he could be at 206 pounds. It was okay. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Oliveira had a whole pound.
You're not wrong. I'm not saying. I'm just saying it's marred. Anytime that there's, that's the reason why it's undisputed champion, right? When there's a dispute, that fucking sullies what was either advertised.
That ass whooping was undisputed.
Yes, but again, so Oliveira is a great fighter. Should he be fighting for a champion? That's where I'm going to dispute. But again, overall, overreaching, that weight cutting is fucking stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
Whatever fucking weight that you weigh when you fucking fight, that's the weight class you fight in.
Right, right.
Instead of trying to fucking kill yourself, looking like goddamn fucking crypt keeper from Tales from the Crypt. Fuck
Yeah.
that. You
If they-
fight at whatever you fight at the whatever weight you are when you step in that octagon or that Bellator cage or whatever fucking promotion that is, right? That's your weight class.
Bro,
That is your
weight class.
huh?
That will shake up every weight class.
That's cool. We need some fucking shake up because guess what? It's like ratifying the Constitution. That shit was cool when people had wooden teeth and fucking powdered wigs. But if they saw us with the internet or driving a car, they would have thought we were all witches and burned us at the fucking stake. The fact that you and I, being the ethnicity that we are, that we're doing this, we'd be fucking burned and hung and shit like that. So again, some shit needs to be, reviewed and shit like that, peer reviewed or whatever the fuck. What I'm saying is this is outdated and antiquated, right? And it does need shaking up, right? So you're gonna say Dana White, and I'm speaking to you specifically. You're telling me, oh, too many weight classes. It waters down the fucking legitimacy of the title. But you're gonna do a one-way title switch for a main event. You're gonna do an interim championship for whatever the fuck just because you don't like the champion you got now. What the fuck are you doing? Shut the fuck up. Weight class. I want a 115, 125, 135, 145. Again, what for when you go 170 to 2 fucking 10? And then 210 to 265? What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? So I'm just saying, if you really want to legitimize whatever, and it's not like it says on the fucking UFC belt, UFC fucking lightweight champion, UFC middleweight champion, UFC heavyweight. It doesn't say any of that. It just says UFC champion that looks like a fucking stupid ass goddamn fucking paper plate that's dipped in gold and you stick rubies on it out of a fucking gumball machine. You stupid. So fucking, if you're already stupid, if you're already stupid enough to spend $30 on each belt, each champion does to fucking defend the title and then replace it with rubies, you're already fucking stupid. We're already here. We're already fucking here. So save your fighters, you stupid son of a bitch. You have more money in the fucking bank account. Theoretically, you should have a lot more influence. I'm just saying, do it, Dana. Goddamn. Otherwise, don't fucking ever promote a one-way title switch. Don't ever fucking say that person. What was he saying about? What was he saying about Chandler? He's like, he ain't shit until he comes to the UFC. He's in the UFC. Beat the fuck out of your guys. Shut the fuck up, Dana. I'll never want to see fucking women in the fucking UFC. Guess what, Dana? She's in the Hall of Fame. Ronda's in the Hall of Fame. You got 4 fucking divisions. One of those titles were defended in the co-main event. Shut the fuck up, Dana. Do something. Just saying. God, I'm not hot about it. I'm not hot about it at all.
Hey, but Justin Gaethje came into that matchup with that mariachi music, boy. It was hot. The crowd loved it.
Hell yes.
Boy, Charles Oliveira came right through, man. You know what I'm saying? With his little music, you know what I'm saying? Jesus Christ music. He was nice and calm. He went up in there, man, and he stood toe to toe with his opponent. He went over there and shook him, hugged him before the fight.
Yeah, no, that was great. I love that.
Coaches.
Yeah, I love that.
Psychological warfare. I am so comfortable that I'm going to beat your ass, that I'm going to give you a hug. I'm going to shake the hands of all your coaches, and I'm going to go over to my other side and with a blurry vision, look at you from across the cage. Yeah. And then they're going to call it to the center. I'm still going to see you as blurry. I'm going to see 3 of you and still not give a damn. Yeah. And then it went up in there. You ever wonder why Oliveira is always marching forward like he's got no common sense?
Because he doesn't have common sense. He can't
No,
read. He can't
because
write.
he can't see, bro.
Oh,
He
that too.
can't see. People don't realize this. The man can't see, and he's still dangerous as hell. The man, when he goes in there, he sees 3 opponents, like a Rocky movie, but in real life. He sees 3 and he hits the one in the middle. Legitimately. He cannot see, and he's still at the peak of all peaks.
Yeah.
He's the Mount Everest of blind folks. He goes
Yeah.
up in there and he beats the brains out of the top contender in Justin Gaethje. That first round, he landed the first two strikes he threw, the 1 and the 2. The 2 rocked Justin Gaethje out of his sockets, got him brawling. All that training that he did before he came into that cage went out the door once Charles Oliveira hit him with that 2-punch. He shook his mental temple. He shook his world, had him brawling. And then Charles Oliveira knew, oh, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time, like Charles will say. And he went in there and he took him apart. Charles got kicked a few times. He got kicked in his leg. He's like, oh, I'm in kicking distance. Let me close the distance. Let's clinch up, buddy. Let's clinch up. Elbows started flying. This and that started flying. At one point, he jumped guard and pulled him in. But Gaethje was like, no, not today. Not today. I'm not going to make it that easy for you. So Charles stands back up. He mounts right up on him. Before you know that, right cross drops him. Charles goes in for the kill, for the ground and pound. Gaethje slips out. He gets caught in the back mount. Before you know it, he's napping. Dock that chink a day's pay for napping on a job. Like that movie Blazing Saddles. Your boy Justin Gaethje. I don't know what he was talking about all that time, man. Talking about somebody gives up. Somebody gives up when the going gets tough. My boy Charles Oliveira made him eat every last word as he tapped.
Yeah.
Begged
Bruce
for forgiveness.
Bruce is back. He says Justin tapped like a little bitch.
Like
he didn't do the horrible thing, which was to go to sleep. And if Justin had any honor, he would have accepted unconsciousness and gone to sleep like Bisping did with GSP. No, I mean, fight forever, right?
Technically, Bisping has no sense. And by the way, Bisping, we know you. Hey, Bisping, be watching our show, man, stealing all our punchlines.
Yeah.
All our punchlines, Bisping. Hey, man, cite your source, bro. That's all we asked.
Yeah, I agreed. I saw that too. I was actually, and that's on
damn source, Bisping.
That's on Bisping's main channels. I mean, he's a fun watch. He's a fun watch.
Watch. Cite your source.
100%.
Stealing all our material, trying to make it yours. Cite your source, Bisping.
Yeah.
All our punchlines he be using, bro. Come on, man.
I know. I've seen it. But yeah, that was UFC 274. A lot of disputes and stuff resolved, and a lot of things unresolved. Now it's just like fucking going and eating a whole fucking pint of ice cream, and then you're like, I'm not even full. I'm still hungry. That was UFC 274. So yeah, man, I don't know. But we got a fight night coming up this Saturday. So we will be back here with you to fucking hash that out Thursday at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Voodoo, where can they find you?
Oh, man, you could definitely find me on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. And then tell your friends to like, share, and subscribe too. And send that ripple effect throughout the universe. The voice must be heard. And it only starts with you, the viewer. So like, share, and subscribe to According to Woods as well. You can also find me on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook page. It is what it is, man. Hit that like button. Let's go.
Absolutely. And again, if I'm going to reiterate what Voodoo said, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to Voodoo in the Woods. And you can do that on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, as well as bodyslam.net's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Shout out to bodyslam.net. Go ahead and subscribe there. According to Woods, you can subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. The Facebook stuff isn't coming out because I got banned for fucking 28 days from posting. I know. I'm a bad boy. But you can check out all the stuff out according to Woods. Also, encourage you to go ahead and check out Wrestling Perspective podcast hosted by Dennis Farrell, the great Dennis Farrell, and Lars Fredrickson from Rancid. That is a wrestling-based podcast that I happen to be doing clips and thumbnails for. So if you patron that, it actually goes into my pocket. So go ahead. And it's good. They've had CM Punk, Ruby Riott, Butcher and the Blade. Jesus Christ. They've done a lot of stuff. So go ahead and encourage them. They've got some dicey stuff, amazing content coming up for you, and I'll be cutting up the clips. So there's that. Also, After 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff happens every Thursday. It won't happen this Thursday because Eric Bischoff is actually going to get his first colonoscopy. And I'm not speaking out of school. He said it himself on After 83 Weeks. So I'm just saying, but you could join myself, Christy Olson, George Hermosa, and Steve Kaufman, all there, powerful people. And again, I'm so good to be here every week in and week out with Voodoo Maximus, former U of MMA champion. I'm literally living my dreams. So again, thank you guys who reach out and wish me a happy birthday. I'm literally doing everything that I love, and I thank all of you for it. This guy right here for it. And we'll come to you Thursday at 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and break down this upcoming UFC Fight Night card. But for Voodoo and for me, we will see you later. Yay! You guys just are awesome. Have a kick-ass week.